Hey everyone, and welcome back to Abyssin. Today, we're diving into a story where four experienced cavers set out on what was supposed to be a routine trip one morning back in 2009. But what started as a simple exploration quickly turned into one of the most terrifying and intense situations they could have imagined. If you enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. On the morning of October 17th, 2009, a group of four seasoned cavers led by 45-year-old John Haber gathered to explore Fang Cave through a mid-level entrance. Fang Cave is located in British Columbia, Canada, deep within the McGregor Range Mountains, northeast of the city of Prince George. It's one of the largest and best-known caves in the country. Alongside John were Mike Nash and two other members of the Alpine Club, all of them well-versed in navigating the challenges of underground environments. This trip was considered routine, and they were well-equipped to face whatever obstacles lay ahead in the cave's dark and winding tunnels. However, their journey would soon take a dramatic and life-threatening turn. As they arrived at the mid-level entry point, they began their descent. To reach a large chamber known as the Colosseum, they used an existing anchor point and set up their ropes with an expansion bolt. They rigged a doubled 9mm aerodynamic rope to allow all members to descend safely. The Colosseum was spacious, but the path ahead led to a section called the Corkscrew, a steep and narrow passage that got increasingly vertical. To descend further, they anchored an 11mm dynamic rope around a large rock pillar at the top of the Corkscrew. This section was especially tricky, full of twists and sharp turns that demanded skill and concentration. During the descent, they also placed a camelot in a crack about 10 feet above a small ledge to provide extra security. With this setup, two people could ascend or descend at the same time, ensuring a safer and more stable progression. After quite a bit of effort, the team finally reached the base of the Corkscrew, a critical section of the cave. From this point on, they knew they were getting close to the deeper zones. The upper part of the Corkscrew had already been tough, but the lower portion was even tighter and steeper, forcing them to adjust their posture and move with extreme caution. Pushing forward through the increasingly narrow corridors, the team reached the furthest point they had planned to explore. The air was getting heavy, and the walls seemed to close in on them. While there was a sense of achievement, there was also a clear understanding that the climb back up would be far more physically draining. Still, everything was going smoothly. With their experience, they moved efficiently, handling their gear with precision to ensure their safety. But hidden dangers are part of any cave system. After spending some time at the bottom of the Corkscrew, they started their ascent. John Haber went first, carefully navigating the tightest sections. When he reached the spot where the camelot had been placed, he noticed it had shifted out of the rock crack, compromising the rope's stability. John immediately repositioned it to try to restore a solid anchor. Then he called Mike Nash to start climbing, following the standard protocol for vertical progression in caves. Mike got ready, and as soon as he put weight on the rope, disaster struck. The pressure caused the crack holding the camelot to fail, breaking off a massive chunk of rock. The heavy rock slammed into John with incredible force, throwing him violently onto the platform just below. It pinned him underneath, partially submerged in a shallow pool of water. He was knocked unconscious and, worse, wasn't breathing. The sound of the impact echoed through the cave. The rest of the team rushed to John in panic. They found him completely motionless, his torso crushed beneath the rock. Using all their strength, they managed to lift the massive slab off of him, but John remained unresponsive, his body limp. The team was now facing a nightmare scenario. Their friend was critically injured. Despite their attempts to revive him, John remained unconscious and in serious condition. In addition to visible scrapes, he had sustained multiple fractures. 7 broken ribs on the right side, 3 on the left, a shattered collarbone, a fractured shoulder, and a collapsed lung. There were also concerns about a possible spinal injury, though there was no way to confirm it in the chaos. Realizing he wasn't breathing, they immediately started CPR. Their quick response brought him back, and he slowly began to regain consciousness, although he was extremely weak. Meanwhile, a second team led by Tamara Kostya was entering the cave with 3 newer members. They were familiar with Fan Cave but unaware of the accident. Upon reaching the Coliseum, they were told by someone from the first group that the upper team would take longer than expected. Tamara chose to continue exploring, but when she reached the top of the corkscrew, she realized they didn't have enough rope to make a full descent. She made the decision to abort the mission and head back. That's when one of the Alpine Club members alerted her to the serious accident. Tamara immediately understood the urgency and sent one of her teammates to retrieve the satellite phone left near the entrance. Once they had the device, she placed an emergency call that was routed to the Global Star Center in Texas and then relayed to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police in Prince George. This triggered a large-scale search and rescue operation. Specialized teams, including the British Columbia Cave Rescue, BCCR, quickly mobilized. While waiting for help, Tamara focused on keeping John alive. She got him out of the cold water, dressed him in dry clothes, and propped him into a semi-seated position to help retain body heat. The rescue operation kicked off around 7 p.m., when 2 helicopters arrived with rescuers and gear. By that time, John had lost consciousness again and was struggling to breathe, raising fears he might not make it. At 8:15 p.m., the actual extraction began. Using a spinal immobilization device and a specialized Furno Washington stretcher, the team began the grueling process of lifting him out of the cave with pulleys and vertical rope systems. By 9:30 p.m., they had reached the Coliseum. They noticed that John's breathing improved when his head was elevated, so they adjusted his position and applied thermal packs to try to stabilize his condition. Even in his critical state, John showed an incredible will to survive, fighting to stay awake and aware. By 11:30 p.m., they reached the mid-level exit. Though he was still in bad shape, he was stable enough to be carried along the mountain trail. What followed was a more than 3-hour journey, during which exhausted rescuers took turns carrying him carefully to the extraction point, where a helicopter was waiting. After hours of non-stop effort, John was finally flown to the hospital. Doctors confirmed the extent of his injuries, multiple fractures, a collapsed lung, and other serious trauma. But thanks to the fast and well-coordinated rescue operation, he survived. John remained in stable condition after 2 days in intensive care, and after a long recovery, he was able to return to his normal life. If you enjoyed this story, click the video on your screen now to watch another cave exploration that went horribly wrong. Don't forget to like and subscribe, it really helps me out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.